Oh god, guys, there's zombies everywhere. I saw in this game Dying Light from about 10 years ago that we can free run and parkour away from them, or we can even craft weapons to kill them with.
I'll connect this car battery to a knife with some string. Give me a sec. Oh, hang on. Nothing's happening. What if I put the sharp bit to the... Oh, no.
And, of course, Tim has electrocuted himself and gotten eaten by zombies.
That figures.
Well, there's nothing left for it. I'm going to have to drop kick this zombie off a roof.
Oh, he missed. I think he's dead. I'll just do parkour and run away. Oh god, I've got a stitch. Oh, and they're right there. I'll just die. This episode of the Game Club Pod contains spoilers for Dying Light. We're recording, gents. Are you ready?
Are you ready for love?
Yes, I am. Oh. Hello, welcome back to the Game Club Pod. I am Joey. I am joined, as ever, by my hypersexual co-hosts, starting with Alex.
Hello, I'm hypersexual.
And Tim.
I'm having a hypersexual sugar crash.
I don't know if I like that at all, Tim. Welcome back to a mainline episode. These feel like they're not the norm. They started as our bread and butter, and now they're very much our buttered crackers.
I feel like I'm always on the back foot with these now because what we do for the audience, I think we've done this peek behind the curtain before, we tend to record these in batches for the most part, and so we'll go maybe months without doing one.
Yeah, but this one we are recording, let's date this, on the 8th of January. What date is it coming out, boys?
The 13th, 5 days time.
So, 5 days time. Is there a correlation between the fact it's my episode and it's being recorded just days before rather than months before?
Nah.
That does happen.
I think the problem is it's our first proper recording for a mainline since Podmas, so we've spent the last 2 months focusing so much on Podmas that we've forgot that 2025 existed.
Well, this thing, we were so backed up by Podmas that this just kind of got left by the wayside until this week.
So, if the listener wanted to learn that, Tim over Christmas got very backed up and has been left by the wayside for a week.
I got very bricked up over Christmas. Are you kidding?
Wow. Right, we are here to talk about Dying Light. And before we get into the episode, I should say, spoiler warning ahead for the game Dying Light. But before we get into our mainline episodes, we always ask a question. And I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
What's the best edition of a video game that you've ever seen? Best special edition of a video game. And I'll give you a second to think. And the reason that I've come up with this is because Dying Light is the first one that I remember that had an absolutely insane special edition, in that if you paid £250,000, you got a physical zombie bunker, parkour lessons, night vision goggles, and a trip to the studios in Poland.
Well, that's all over what I was going to go with.
Well, what were you going to go with?
I was going to go with Dead Island, which is actually the same developer. If you remember them, the special edition came with a novel for Dead Island, which wasn't very good, and a bust of a bikini woman without a head. So basically, just tits on a plaque is what they gave you.
And Tim is showing his right now.
Here it is in my glass case.
For some reason, he's got 6 of them.
They surround my desk and webcam.
Alex, what about you?
I've only ever bought one special edition in my entire life, and it was way back when Guild Wars, I think it was Guild Wars 2 came out, and it didn't come with fancy statues or anything like that, but what it came with was this really, really nice art book and a compact disc soundtrack, if you can believe it. Yeah, this is how long ago we're talking, because it was obviously, I think that game came out in like 2004 or something stupid like that.
When that game came out, it was actual pay to play, right? You had to pay to own the disc. And then Guild Wars 2 became a free to play game.
It did, yeah. And it was 2012. So I wasn't far off. I was 8 years off. But who's counting? But yeah, no, it came with, like I say, it came with an art book. It came with a physical soundtrack, and then it had like little standees of some of the characters and little badges and things like that. I don't know why I picked it up because I've never, like I say, up until that point, I'd never bought a special edition physical thing like that. But
Have you bought one since?
No.
I'm a sucker for physical soundtracks.
We do love a physical soundtrack.
I don't know what it is. I don't even own anything that lets me play physical media anymore, aside from my PS5. But if I'm using my PS5 as a CD player, I feel like it's voided the point of the console.
PS5, I'm so cool.
Really great.
Well, I think it's probably the same reason people love vinyls, and I'm calling Dan out here in particular. But like it harkens back to the old days, doesn't it? And it's a sort of nostalgia thing.
Yeah,
I think it's on the shelf behind me. I have the only vinyl I own, which is a copy of the Gereg by the Mongolian band The Who.
The Who?
The Who.
Who?
Who?
What, like the British one?
No, the Mongolian one.
This is why he specified the Mongolian
one. Fair enough. Tim, have you ever bought a special edition of a game?
Yeah. Like I said, I bought the Dead Island one that didn't come with the big statue of the titties. And
Wink.
I have behind me on the shelf, I don't know if you can see it just on the bottom shelf there, that is a limited edition version of Fallout 3 for the PS3, I think that one is. Nice. It comes with a physical soundtrack in the form of a cassette, which is fun.
Love that.
That's kind of cool. It's got a bobblehead, copy of the game, world map. I think it's got some pins in it as well.
Nice.
Yeah. Although I would have loved to have got the Fallout 4.
That was the one that came with the Pit-Boy, wasn't it?
It came with the Pit-Boy and also the helmet that was full of mold.
Well, there you have it. Want to know how to get Tim to buy something? A helmet full of mold.
Fill it with mold.
It's the way to do it.
I love having my details docs trying to replace my helmet and bag I was promised.
I've only ever had one physical copy, special edition of a game, I think. No, I tell a lie, two, because I've just thought of another one. I bought the special edition of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and if you remember, it came with a microphone, a headset, and instead of having something over the top of your head, it would clip around your neck and pick up the vibration from your throat rather than having a physical mic. It was the best microphone I've ever had.
I can remember picking one of those up for the Xbox 360 as well. I think you might have moved out for uni at some point. At that point, Joey. But I picked one up, and I had it around my neck, and all it did was shock me. Like I'd try it on every now and again, I just get a zap in the throat.
Nice. My physical pre-order of Elden Ring as well came with some really cool stuff. It came with like a world map, came with patches, it came with an art book, it came with the soundtrack. It's a very, very cool.
I think the Baldur's Gate guys have taken some notes from the Elden Ring guy, because on my other screen here, I have the Baldur's Gate 3 Deluxe Edition. It comes with stickers, a Mind Flayer poster, a digital edition box, which makes it look like a book with a binder. It's got the soundtrack across 3 CDs. It's got a world map. It's got patches. And you know what? All that for $80.
That's not bad.
And you can get that. You can get that for PC as well.
Oh, nice. What's that in English money?
65, give or take.
$80 in real money. I shit you not put it into pounds. It's put it into pounds. 64 quid.
That's really good.
Yeah,
who'd have thought Larian?
That's a really good price.
Larian being a really good company. Who'd have thought?
Larian Studios being pro-consumer. Who'd have thought?
Who'd have thought? Right, let's talk about Dying Light. So, Dying Light came out on the 27th of January 2015. So it is, it's nearly 10 years old now, which I think is pretty incredible. It was released on PlayStation, Switch, Mac, Xbox, Windows, and Linux. I feel like they always have to put Linux in there. It was developed by Techland and published by Warner Brothers Interactive, and it is a single/multiplayer survival horror action game. Got some good reviews. Destructo, I give it a 7 out of 10 on release. Eurogamer, 7 out of 10. Game Informer, 8.5. And IGN, 8.5, both out of 10. The game itself was the best-selling title of January 2015 and broke the record for first month sales of a new survival horror intellectual property. And as I said, there was a collector's edition that cost £250,000, and it included a physical zombie shelter, parkour lessons, night vision goggles, and a trip to Poland to visit the Techland studios. Going to go straight in there and say, Alex, what did you think of Dying Light?
I enjoyed it. I played this back when it first came out and had a really, really good time with it. And I will admit, I was a bit apprehensive coming back to it because I thought, it's like you say, it's nearly a 10-year-old game. And I was thinking, is it going to hold up? And yeah, it does. I mean, it doesn't feel like you're playing a 10-year-old game, but it plays well. The free running in it is very good. I think free running's one of the, or parkour and things like that. It's one of those things that's quite hard to do well, but the developers definitely nailed it with this. The one thing I do like is, well, I said the one thing. One of the things I like with the free running is the world doesn't feel like the free running's been shoehorned in with the world design. Everything, all the platforms and the bins that you fall into and things like that all look like they make sense where they are.
Mm-hmm.
The story leaves a bit to be desired, but I don't think that was ever their focus, was to tell a good story. I think it was to give the players a game where they can just run around and drop kick zombies over walls. And if that was their target, then they nailed it.
Nice. Anything else, Alex?
Yeah, I've got 80 hours in this game.
Sweet. Tim, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this game came out on what, the 360, the Xbox One kind of thing?
Well, it was Xbox One, but it was early Xbox One, so it was kind of straddled between Xbox One, 2. I can't remember what generation we're on. Not the one we're on now, not the one before that, but it straddled the one before that and the one before.
So to me, it feels very much like a product of its time, which isn't a bad thing. I think it's a very, very, very enjoyable game from a gameplay perspective. But it comes from that wonderful era where graphic artists thought that brown and red was hot when it came to gaming. And yeah, I mean, sure, it fit the aesthetic at the time. It did what it needed to. And yeah, I don't like the aesthetic so much these days, but I can let that slip by. The gameplay has a fun enough gameplay loop. Story's very middling, but you kind of make your own story when you're running around a town that's full of zombies, drop kicking them off of bridges and buildings and stuff. And you, for some reason, that builds up your power to drop kick harder and harder to the point that you make your own story about drop kicking. I like the improvised weapon system. I like the fact that you have to go and loot cars and police vans and ambulances to get very believable loot. Granted, I don't know how many people drive around with string in the back of their car, but whatever.
Or 2 wallets.
Or 2 wallets.
This guy drives around exclusively with 2 wallets, a piece of string, and metal parts. Which
and an old Nokia 3310.
Yeah. But no, I like the fact that it makes that you've got this improvised weapon. It's like, oh, I have a lead pipe and a string and half a squirrel. I'm going to make an electric gun out of it. The weapons go from very believable to very ludicrous, but it's not too much of a leap in logic for this game. Not to say the game is ridiculous, but I think it knows how to have fun with itself. And
how long have you played of Dying Light?
Not a crazy amount of time, I'll be honest.
And we've been playing it for stream recently. Is this your first experience in Dying Light?
Yes, and I've put 9 hours in.
Okay, cool. Alex has put 80 in. I don't know exactly how much I've put in because I played it originally to completion on the Xbox 360. What I will say, Tim, in the first 9 hours, yes, the weapons are a bit believable. By the end of that 9 hours, they are utterly ludicrous.
Great.
Sorry, by the end of the story, utterly ludicrous, but in a really good way, in my opinion.
Yeah, the game knows how to have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed my time with it. I'm not exactly clamoring to go back. It's not the top of my list or anything, but I enjoyed my time.
Are you going to keep playing it afterwards?
I mean, I'll play it if you guys are playing it.
I would like to continue playing it.
It's not something I'm going to go back to on my own time. But if you guys want to be like, oh yeah, do you want to play some Dying Light? Yeah, I'll play some Dying Light.
Sweet. Okay, cool. So I share a lot of the same thoughts as you guys. I think Tim's point of the game is brown and red and very muted, dusty colors is a poignant one. It is a 360 title. It was influenced by the color palette of the 360 games, thanks to Gears of War. That's very evident. But I also really agree with Alex that the parkour doesn't feel shoehorned in.
Not at all.
It feels like you really have freedom, but not in a way that it stops being fun. And the reason that I'm really pointing that out is because Dying Light 2 is also out, and I haven't completed that. I had nowhere near as much fun because you get wingsuits, you get parachutes, you get all of these things that gives you like endless fun. Endless freedom. And that endless freedom feels really limiting. I can see, Alex, you played it, didn't you? And I think you had the same experience as me.
Yeah, I went into Dying Light 2 hoping for more of Dying Light 1, and when you started, like you say, getting wingsuits and all these crazy things, it almost takes away the horror survival aspect of it, because you can just run up a building and then paraglide wherever you need to go. They might as well have put fast travel points in with how much it reduced your need to really free run.
Yeah.
There's a phrase that I really like called limitation breeds creativity.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're limiting your options, you're forced to get creative with those options. And in Dying Light 1, I'm going to preface this by saying I haven't played Dying Light 2, but in Dying Light 1, if you're limited to you are free running and that is it, the
Mm-hmm.
game developers are forced to design the world around free running, and it makes the player make free running based decisions. But in Dying Light 2, if you're given wingsuits and parachutes and hang gliders and whatever it's creating a path of least resistance. Why do this when other thing does it better and easier?
Yeah, I think like the point I'm making. Dying Light 1 is based in a fictional Middle Eastern city of Harran. It's inspired by favelas within Brazil. So everything is kind of, there are a few buildings that are really tall towers, but you don't scale the outside of those towers. Everything you have is based sort of within a 3 or 4 story radius. So there is verticality to the game, but not a huge amount. Whereas Dying Light 2 is based in a major city, and there are vents that shoot air upwards, and you open your parachute and you can go up 30, 40, 50 stories, only to immediately turn your parachute into a wingsuit and then fly for 2 miles before you get to your objective. And I think Tim's point of limitation breeds creativity is bang on. Now, about Dying Light 1, I think this game, have we all played Dead Island?
Yeah.
So Dead Island was kind of, everyone went mad for the trailer because it was really creative. It played backwards. It looked really memorable. But the thing that everyone got really excited for in Dying Light was the amount of weapons, the amount of combination of weapons, and all of that got lifted and taken away from Dead Island's terrible story, terrible setting, quite boring setting, into this fictional city of Harran. And they said, well, we've got all of this as a template. Let's stick loads of parkour on top of it, and you can level up your free running ability and have all these extra abilities like drop kicking zombies that send them absolutely flying. And I think it leads to Tim's point of, well, it is realistic to a point, but it's still a video game. So there is elements that you have to bend reality to do and just accept that they are a bit stupid. But because they're a bit stupid, they are quite fun.
Something I really found myself enjoying, probably not in the way the developers intended. The lead character is voiced by Roger Craig Smith, who voices Sonic the Hedgehog. And I need mods now of Sonic games of Sonic telling people that he's going to break their legs and kill their families, because there is a lot of that happening in this game.
There is. We had a joke while we were playing, and Alex was just like, The language in this game is atrocious. Shall I get into the story?
Yes.
So, big major spoilers for Dying Light. You play as Carl Crane, who is an undercover GRE agent, and GRE is the Global Relief Effort. I think they're basically meant to be CIA, but they didn't want to get in. They didn't want to get in SHIT, so they made up GRE. And you get airdropped into the city of Harran after a mysterious viral outbreak has occurred. And it's turned loads of the population into super aggressive zombies in the daytime and outright abominations during the nighttime. It's actually a good point because someone remind me we need to talk about the day-night cycle here.
Yes.
So you get dropped in and you meet with the people of the Tower. You'll never guess where they live, in a block of flats.
In a bungalow.
In a bungalow, yeah, one-story building. And the whole point in Carl Crane getting dropped into Harran is because he needs to recover some documents that have been stolen by bad guy with Middle Eastern sounding name. Bad guy with Middle Eastern sounding name is using them to blackmail the GRE and is using his lackey Rice, who is kind of like the warlord within Harran, to torture and kill the people who carry on living there and make Harran his city using zombies as one of his weapons and means of torture.
Kind of picture Vass from Far Cry 3.
Exactly. Thank you, Tim. That's a really good comparison. Vass from Far Cry 3. And the game itself is sort of a go see this person, they'll give you a mission. Then go see this person and give you a mission. And the point is that you need to gain the trust of Rice so that you can get the documents, as well as a drug that stops the virus infecting you and turning you into a zombie called antizin. So throughout the game, you are posed with a couple of points where Carl Crane battles between should I save the people in the tower, the survivors, or should I be working to appease the GRE that have sent me here. And there's a bit quite early on where you find a airdrop that's dropped in from miscellaneous people who can give you airdrops. And it's full of antizin, and you're going to take it to the tower, but they order you to burn it so that you have to be forced to communicate with Rice and make a meeting. This kind of thing happens a few times, and throughout the game, you learn more about the awful ways that I was going to call him Vass then. Rice has kept power within Harran. You eventually battle him. I am missing quite big chunks here, but a lot of it is you go to X place via jumping over buildings, fight a zombie, and then go back. But you go to Rice's tower, battle him up the side of the tower atop a skyscraper, and kill Rice, throwing him off of the crane, recovering the research data. You give it to the GRE, and then you decide you're going to stay in Harran to help the remaining survivors. That's the story in like the smallest nutshell you can imagine. There are a lot of twists and turns with quite specific NPCs and characters within the game, but those are the kind of main story beats. There's a really cool bit where you think Rice trusts you, but actually he knows exactly who you are, and he throws you into what he calls the pit, and you're expected to defeat wave after wave of zombies for the enjoyment of Rice and his... Did I say Vass again?
I think you said
Vass. I don't know. For the enjoyment of Rice and his lackeys and his henchmen. So that there's a couple of bits where you're kind of stripped back to zero. Tim, what's it called when they give you loads of abilities at the start of a game and then strip them from you? I can't remember.
I've heard it called an abilities.
The abilities, yes. You kind of had that in part, but you get your weapons back that you've worked hard to craft, etc. Guys, what was your favourite part of the game that you played?
Unlocking the drop kick.
So we should say that the drop kick is a fairly early upgrade to your ability of agility. And doing it will launch a zombie like 10 feet in the air backwards. You can do this off of buildings, off of motorways, or into spike traps, which will kill the zombie instantly. It
Well,
makes
if
the
the
game
zombie-
easy and funny.
If the zombie even touches the spike trap with like the pinky toe, it will die immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else? I found it's going to sound not very sporting of me, but I found finding ways to breaking the game particularly fun. So, like, you get points for just points for your stats for just doing things in a similar kind of leveling system to Oblivion, where hopping around would increase your acrobatics. Jumping over stuff will increase your agility, for example. Hitting zombies will increase your power. And when you're out at night, and we will get to the day-night cycle in just a moment.
Thank you.
When you're out at night, because it's much more dangerous, your points are doubled. So we found that there were points where you could stand outside of safe houses, which are like protected areas that you have to fight to protect, which is interesting. But you could just vault over the same rail over and over again and just send your ability score to the moon. It's that was a bit of fun because I guess I'm min-max these days. That's probably a highlight for me.
Nice. Alex?
In the story, the first time it cycles round to night, you are forced to be outside of safe zones because I think you have to go and complete a mission. I think it's to activate some traps or something. And so, like we said, we will get onto it. The night in this game is terrifying.
Scurry.
Compared to other horror games, so let's take The Forest, for example. You're told not to chop down trees or you're going to annoy the locals and they'll get progressively more and more aggressive.
Yeah,
they never got
the mission.
they never got to the point where they were a major problem. So it was like they dangled this threat in front of you and it was just kind of like, okay. In Dying Light, they say to you, don't go out at night. There are volatiles everywhere, and you will get over, and you do. And I think they've really nailed the sort of this is a big risk with a big reward kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at night you're very much outnumbered and underpowered for the most part, because if even more than one volatile is approaching you, and a volatile is like a hyper strong, hyper fast, pretty intelligent, hyper aggressive enemy that becomes very commonplace at night. So it's in your best interest to free run away. And if more than one has got their eye on you and they're chasing you down, you are basically dead.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember the first time I played this back in 2015. I did the first mission where you're out at night, and then I did no other missions during the night because I was genuinely too scared to do so.
They're scary.
Well, they are. I think that there is something in this game that, Tim, you won't have experienced, Alex, you will. The difference between a single player and a multiplayer campaign is immensely different.
Mm-hmm.
In that, I'm not sure, there might be some scaling of the enemy's damage and health, but there isn't a lot. So when we're playing with the four of us on stream and we're going around an enemy and all four of us are just bashing it with wrenches and pipes and irons and whatever you want to pick up.
Like an angry plumber.
Balls.
Exactly. And then if you're doing that, the enemies go down pretty easily and they die pretty easily. And I think that actually the volatiles, whilst taking a little bit of time still, they do go down pretty easily if you are, if there are four of you. Whereas on your own, there's no chance that you'd be able to kill one of these things unless you cheesed it with. The volatiles are hypersensitive to UV lights and it'll burn their skin, so they avoid you if you're in safe zones because there are UV lights up. But with four of you, that becomes a possible thing to kill the volatiles at the entrance of safe zones, which is what we did. If you're on your own and you're stuck out at night and there's one of them chasing you, they are faster than you, they jump higher than you, and they hit much, much, much harder than you. So, like Alex said, big risk, big reward energy. So, yeah, I think my point there is single player and multiplayer. Multiplayer, whilst very, very, very fun, and I'm having a very good time with it, multiplayer is feels much easier. What do you agree, Alex?
Yeah, you've got the benefit of numbers, and like you said, there's not much scaling in terms of. I don't think there's any scaling in the damage. I think it might just be the quantity of them that scales up, but I could be wrong there. But like you say, it does make it a lot easier. For example, the sledgehammer ones, the big guys with the sledgehammers, they're a nightmare to kill on your own because they've got a big swinging circle and they do a lot of damage to you. And you've also got to be dealing with the normal zombies that are obviously crowding around you because of the noise. When there's four of us, Tim and Payne can go off and deal with all the little guys while me and Joey just wail on the big guy for a bit. It does make it easier, but that's not to say it makes it easy. We've had plenty of times where we've all been out running at night and we've all died.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And Alex, I know that you're saying it makes it easier, but does it make it less fun?
No.
There you go. Nailed it.
The thing as well is that guns, we've talked about improvised weapons in this game, like pipes and wrenches and oars and stuff. There are guns in this game, but they are so few and far between, and ammo is believably scarce, actually. Like a lot of zombie horror survival games will fall into the trap of just ammo being everywhere. You trip over a rock, there is ammo under it. Look out over a hill, it's covered in ammo, that sort of thing. Whereas this, it's like you have to go searching police cars for it, and they're not guaranteed to have it. It's not, and even if you get it, you might get 8 bullets at most. It's believable.
And firing guns attracts zombies. The sound of a gunshot will attract higher level and more difficult zombies that will kill you much easier, and they're quicker and they run, and they take a bit more to take down. Tim, what we haven't said and what we haven't explored in our playthrough, and I'm sorry, this is a spoiler for you. About 3/4 of the way through the game, you leave the favelas of Harran and you go to a downtown area which is far more affluent.
Interesting.
The verticality doesn't really change. There's a little bit more, but it still feels explorable and realistic. I don't know. Do you remember much of the downtown area, Alex?
It's Section 0, isn't it? The epicenter of the plague.
Exactly.
I don't remember much of the map. I just remember being sort of like, "Oh, a new area. Let's have a look around here."
I don't think it's as good. It's not as big as the first area, the favela kind of inspired area, but it is at a point where you feel really familiar with your routes between your missions, and it kind of throws you off a bit. Now, what I should say about this game, and something I can't really talk much to, because I completed this when it had just come out. I think I had it about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and I played a lot of it, but I'd completed it by that time, and then maybe a month after that, I didn't pick it up again. The ending of the game when I played it was a single button QuickTime event, and it felt really underwhelming. It left a really sour note, and I think Techland knew that, because the expansions that they've had in this game add almost, it's like The Witcher 3 Blood and Wine.
Yeah.
And the expansion is like a game in itself.
A bit like Shadow of the Erd Tree, if we want to use a more modern comparison.
Yeah. But the expansions that they have, so they've got the following, is the main expansion. So they have Dying Light, they have the main game, and then the first big update was the following. And then they added something called the Bozak Horde, which is like a horde mode parkour racing section, which is meant to be really fun. We've not got to it yet, but I'm sure we will do. But the following adds more than 100 new weapons and 1,500 weapon combinations. It adds driving to the game. It adds new areas. It is like an entirely new game on top of what is already quite a sizable game.
Yeah.
And I think we often on Game Club Pod, we play a game, we record the episode, we delete it from hard drives, and then we don't tend to play it again. I don't think Dying Light's going to be like that for me. I mean, spoilers for my review at the end, but I think we're going to continue with this one because it's quite hard to find a decent 4-player campaign-based game other than Dying Light. Sorry, Baldur's Gate is what I was meant to say there. Not the same game. Other than Dying Light. And do you know, I think Dying Light does this really well.
Yeah. Like it definitely it fits that niche really, really well. In that, again, I feel like this is almost a relic of the kind of era in which the game came out. It feels like the developers knew that there would be almost an Xbox party focus for the multiplayer. And one aspect I wanted to touch on the multiplayer, and I don't know if this is correct. You guys can feel free to correct me. There's a mode where it's like an asymmetrical multiplayer mode, isn't it? Where one of you plays as a zombie or infected.
Yes.
Yeah. There's infected multiplayer modes.
Yeah. Like, they were aware that there would be a lot of party and social behavior with this game, and yeah, it holds up to this day, the social aspect of this game. And I think it probably will always hold up because it's a very unique set of core mechanics that this game has, and they all are interwoven pretty damn well.
Nice.
Yeah. So you've brought up something I want us to play on stream at some point when we can figure out having 4 streams simultaneously on the screen. What you're referring to, I think they call it Be the Beast or something like that, and it is it's very, very sort of Dead by Daylight in that one of you plays a infected, but not like just a little run around guy. You play a big, scary mother, and you have a skill tree like the free runners do that you can put points into and you can continuously build up, and your objective is to hunt the other players. The other players, I think, do have an object. It's object again, similar to Dead by Daylight, where it's like, you've got to go and activate these traps, turn on these safe houses or whatever, but while being chased by the beast. And it is one of them where if you're going against someone who's very good as playing at the beast and they catch you on your own, you are done.
Nice. That sounds very fun. We should play it at some point. We can easily do 4-player co-op on the same screen, I think.
Yeah.
I am just looking at the release date. I forget if you mentioned the exact release date, Joey, for Dying Light.
This one was January 2015.
Correct. So what I'm just thinking about asymmetrical multiplayer was I don't suppose you guys remember when there was almost a boom of asymmetrical multiplayer games coming out, and this really seemed to come out towards the end of it. I mean, I personally think of the game Evolve, if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
I think of Left 4 Dead.
Exactly. So it's more asymmetrical multiplayer, which would have come out around the same time as this, or at least Left 4 Dead 2 anyway. And this feels like it was very much a capping off of that era. And from the sounds of it, again, we've not played it yet, but from the sounds of it, sounds pretty good.
Yeah. And the other thing we should talk about is Dying Light the Beast. So this was announced recently, right? It was it the Game Awards it got its premiere?
I don't know. I must have missed this one.
Have you not seen it?
No.
So Dying Light the Beast is a standalone Dying Light game, new Dying Light game, but you play as Carl Crane 10 years on in Harran from the zombie outbreak. It looks really good.
I'm just looking at I'm looking at the screenshots now, and it looks like a lot of the zombies, have evolved.
Mm-hmm.
There's one here on this screenshot, and it's like it must be like a juggernaut thing, and it is massive. It's got to be about 10 foot tall with these big spiky arms, and it looks terrifying because it's just charging at you through an explosion.
I've just Googled Dying Like the Beast, and it's just come up with a picture of Joe Biden saying, "I ask everyone to remain calm."
Wow. Well, there you go. Savor the day and outlast the night. That's what I think we should cap it off with. Guys, is there anything else with Dying Light that you wanted to talk about?
The parkour system feels like, how do I want to put this? Mirror's Edge walked so this could run. Mirror's Edge, to compare completely different companies' fucking product. That was the poster child for first person parkour games, and this very much steps up on that. In that the free running feels natural, it's very free flowing while still having a very clear sense of direction. It almost combines the level design aspect of like the Assassin's Creed series in terms of art, in terms of climbing and what have you, with Mirror's Edge's pace and perspective to make this pretty great blend of free flowing movement.
I think Mirror's Edge, my problem with it was it made me feel motion sick.
Well, that's because Faith is rolling every 3 seconds.
Well, there is a roll mechanic in Dying Light eventually.
You unlock it as part of your agility tree further down.
Yeah, but it never feels like motion sickness inducing. It's done in a really, really good way that feels natural, but doesn't make you want to hurl when it happens.
I was just going to say similar to what Tim was saying. I think Mirror's Edge was it was a good free running game, but it was very railroaded. There was only certain ways you could go with everything, but this is very open. You know, the four of us could start at the tower and say, right, get to the fishing village. Each of us would take a very different route. Personally, I think the free running and the parkour in this is actually better than the Assassin's Creed series.
Yeah,
oh, totally, yeah. But like, what I'm saying is that Assassin's Creed allows you a lot of options to get to one place.
Yes, yeah.
Aside from if you're climbing, then it's very fucking limited.
I didn't realize. I just read on the Steam page for Dying Light the Beast, anyone who purchased the Ultimate Edition of Dying Light 2 will receive Dying Light the Beast for free.
Oh, that's cool.
That's very cool.
Very cool.
Great work, developers.
Having a look to see what version of Dying Light 2 I've got. I've got the Reloaded Edition.
I do too. Damn it.
But
I think when that comes out, it would be a good one to play. Once again, that is 4-player co-op. But yeah, definitely one to keep an eye on. Well, guys, we've come to that point where we give it our recommendations and scores. So I'm going to go to Tim first.
I mean, I said it at the beginning, I enjoyed my time. Story was middling at best. Artistically speaking, in terms of, you know, color palette, if you like 2 colors, you'll probably like this game. But no, for gameplay, it's pretty damn great. I'm going to give this maybe a 7.5 out of 10, I reckon.
Nice. Good score. Alex.
Yeah, it's a great free running game that adds a lot of risk versus reward options. It's nearly 10 years old and it still holds up today as one of the best free running games I've ever played. Yeah, the story's middling and the color palette's a little bit brown, but I think that's not what they weren't going for an artistic thing. They were going for you're going to have a good time, and I think they've absolutely nailed it with it. Highly recommend. I'm going to give it an 8.
Nice. I share all of the views of my co-hosts. A dangerous place to be, but here we are. I would err on the side of Alex's score, and I'd like to give it an 8, but also really strongly recommend. It's cheap if you pick it up in the right places. You can find it on CD keys, not an advert, not a sponsor, but should be. Stole that from Talking Smack. Not a sponsor, but could be. It's about £6.
Yeah.
$7 or $8.
Plus, it's in every Steam sale.
Yeah, and that's, yes. I think, the ultimate version with absolutely every piece of DLC, and there's a lot of really good DLC here.
On the topic of DLC, if you have bought the DLC, which comes with things like blueprints and costumes, I say blueprints for weapons that you can make. If you have bought the Ultimate Edition, which comes with all the DLC, you have access to all of that immediately.
Nice.
It allows you
After
to really
the prologue.
After the prologue, yes, but the prologue is maybe 20-30 minutes just to ease you into the mechanics of the game, and then you've got full access to the whole map.
Very, very good. The game itself is, with it being 10 years old, the requirements if you're playing on PC are quite low. And although the color palette isn't the most exciting, it still looks really good. Only 40 gig inside, so it's not a massive space on your hard drive, although it's not insignificant. So
that would have been huge for the time.
It would have been huge for the time, but it's not anymore with Call of Duty setting the benchmark at like 200 gig of content.
I think we're at 500 now, aren't we?
Surely not.
I think so.
I think when you combine Black Ops 6 and Modern Warfare 3 on the same install, it's not far off.
God, that's absolutely insane. But yeah, we all liked it. We all continue to like it. And if you want to watch us play Dying Light, follow us on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/gameclubpod. We stream pretty regularly. We play a variety of games, but Dying Light is one that we're playing quite a lot of at the moment. Who has the next game? That would be Tim.
Oh, that is me. We are going to be playing a little indie gem that was on my radar. Call of Duty Warzone. We're going to be playing Thank Goodness You're Here.
Looking forward to that episode.
Very much looking forward to that episode.
Nice. Well, we're not doing a post-amble, I don't think, unless anyone's got anything they're desperate to talk about. No? Fab. Well, in that case, we'll see you next week for Thanks I Hate It, and then the week after for
Thank Goodness You're Here.
Thank Goodness You're Here. And on that, I'll say have a lovely day. Tim, your leaving message?
Bye.
You need to work on that.
Sorry.
Alex?
I'm not very charismatic.
It's 1 hour till sundown. You know what that means? Get to the camps.
Get to the chopper. different IP. Still good. Watch Predator. Right. Well, we'll see you in a week's time. See you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.